Don't Tell Larry is a dark comedy thriller that is having its world premiere at the Austin Film Festival on Friday, October 27th. The movie was written, directed, and produced by Greg Porper and John Skimke and stars Patty Guggenheim, Kyle Kennedy, Kenneth Mosley, and my next guest, Ed Begley Jr., who also executive produced Don't Tell Larry. Ed, thank you so much for the time. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's very good to talk to you, Trey.
It's great to talk to you as well. And I got to tell you, you never know what to expect when you are watching a film that is a part of a great film festival like the Austin Film Festival. And I have a pretty high threshold for when something is called a dark comedy. If I'm actually going to be laughing at the twisted nature of the humor, but Don't Tell Larry. It exceeds any lofty expectation you may have for this film. This is a hilarious movie. It's a very well-written movie. It's a very well-acted movie as well. What initially got you into this script?
I knew I was in for something good because it came through the threshold, my agent passed it on to me, and I read a good many scripts, but this one was so wonderfully dark, so funny. Then I talked to the guys on the phone, Greg and John, and right away, I fell in love with these guys. They're so quick and funny. And on the set, it just got better working with Kyle and Patty, these wonderfully talented people, and Kenneth and Tina. And Dot Moore is just a treasure. Dot Moore Jones is just fantastic. So a great cast, a great time. All of them fine improv people. And I came up with maybe one or two minor improv lines, not much at all. I can't even remember if they used any of that. But the alt lines that Greg and John threw at me were difficult to do. They were so damn funny. I had a hard time keeping it together. Really great stuff. And then Patty and Kyle did it to me too. They threw in some stuff that I didn't see coming at all. So I had to toughen up and try to get through it. It was great.
For somebody who has been in a lot of funny stuff over the years, it's got to be refreshing for you as someone who is as funny as he is to see the younger generations coming up and still doing incredible stuff, still crushing it with the comedy too. It just goes to show that we'll never have a lack of ideas or a lack of performers who understand how to make audiences laugh.
I used to be pretty good at improv. I don't know how successful I'd be at doing a movie like Best in Show at this point in my life. I need a good script and some lines that I can learn. But this was fantastic. It was all scripted for me and a few alt lines that I somehow got through. And the movie is wonderful. I was very, very pleased with it. Every bit as dark as I'd hoped for, and every bit as funny.
Why do you play successful, but at the same time aloof characters so well, Ed?
I don't know. I don't think of myself as aloof. I try to think of myself as a man of the people, riding the bike and the bus, But I guess I'm cast in that. Because of the way I look, I certainly look like an Enron executive. So I guess I do those parts because of the way I look. Better than being the aging surfer after St. Elsewhere, shows like that I did when I was quite young. I guess it's a good gig playing the corporate boardroom nightmare guy.
Well, and look, I mean, I'm 45, people my age and younger, they mostly recognize you from more comedic roles, but even over the last couple of decades, you will still flip-flop back and forth between the funny and the more serious too. Is it important for you as a comedic actor to revisit those more dramatic roots from time to time?
I go with the best material it is. It could be a play, could be a TV show, could be a movie, could be commercial that's really well done, and those things that even exist. So I just go for the best material I can get my mitts on. So for years it's been Christopher Guest, then it became Better Call Saul, and now Young Sheldon is a fine show. And to work with these guys in the midst of all that, John and Greg did a terrific job, not just shooting the movie that they had written so well, but the way they pieced it together, the way they edited it was exemplary. They really got it down to a fraction of a second with those laughs that just need just a second and 3/4 of Larry after you give them the news. 2 seconds would kill it, less than a second would kill it. They know just the right timing with their editing. They're very, very skilled editors.
I didn't think about that. I'm going to have to rewatch the movie from that perspective. But obviously, a movie called Don't Tell Larry, or maybe not obviously, but in a lot of circumstances, this dark comedy doesn't work if the Larry character is not only not really good, but probably the funniest person on set too. just how impressed were you with Kiel and his performance as Larry?
Kyle and Patty are wonderful improv actors. You know, they came to this part honestly through their brilliant improv work and aligned themselves with John and with Greg. And I heard they were good, but I didn't know the level of it until I worked with them. They're really highly skilled, as good as anybody I've ever worked with. So I just feel so grateful to be 74 years of age and still be working with young people like that are that talented. You know, I think it's a form of community service. You know, they get some community service points working with me, I think.
Do you know what their improv group is?
I think they've worked with the Groundlings, but I'm not sure. Upright Citizens Brigade. They've worked with a lot of different groups. I can't remember offhand which ones it is. I think it's one or more of the ones I just mentioned, but they're very good. They're every bit as good as that fine troop of people that you see in those groups I mentioned. They're just great.
Well, I don't want to get too deep into the past with you, Ed, because I hope you and I can have a conversation in the near future about your new memoir. But you obviously have a great sense of humor. Where does that come from? Because you got a certain deadpan wit about you that really resonates with somebody like me, who is also has a knack for the monotone, if you will.
Well, my dad was a great dramatic actor. He won an Oscar for Sweet Bird of Youth. That was not remotely a comedy, but also very funny, and very few people knew that side of him. But he played in a few comedies, you know, when I was younger, Dick Van Dyke Show and this show and that. So I got to meet as a young man Dick Van Dyke and Steve Allen, these people that I worship. I got to meet one of the keystone cops from the silent era of motion pictures. So I've had this career that's insane, that has bridged from the silent films, given the people that I knew, you know, all the way to now where you got people like Sean Baker doing a film, and a wonderful film, on his iPhone. You know, that's where we're at today. And so it's kind of amazing how much smaller the equipment has gotten, how much bigger other things have gotten. It's wonderful. It's a good time. It's a platinum age of television. I grew up in the golden age of television with Patty Chayefsky and my dad and Rod Serling and those people. But now with Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould and those people and Handmaid's Tale, this is the platinum age of television. So enjoy it. And then films like this can exist in another format that one day will be on television, but it's all very exciting.
Who's your favorite comedic actor of all time?
My favorite comedic actor of all time is Peter Falk.
Columbo. All right. And last question now. Once again, for anybody who maybe isn't familiar with Don't Tell Larry, but maybe at Austin Film Festival this weekend, maybe for the premiere tomorrow to check it out, or at some point over the next week and a half, or maybe they have an opportunity to see it either in theaters or on demand after the film festival. What is the best reason for people to go and see this movie?
It's funny. It's dark. It's going to shock you. It's going to surprise you in many different ways. It's really good. It's not the same old, same old. I'm tired of the same old, same old. Who isn't? This is not that. You're going to love it.
Ed, thank you so much for the time today. People can see the book in the background there. Make sure to check out Ed's memoir and stay tuned. You will hopefully be hearing more from Ed here on the ESPN Austin show, and then also Books on Pod in the not too distant future, going more in depth on that one. Thank you so much for the time today, Ed.
Trey, thank you, pal.
Thanks to Gentleman Jesus for the intro and outro music. Hear more of his work at gentlemanjesus.com. And thanks to you for hanging out. For more of the show and to connect on social media, visit booksonpod.com. We'll talk to you next time on Books on Pod.